How did you do last night, man?
Oh, I was down like I don't know, like 1400 US or something. Fuck pissed me
Holy
off.
crap!
It was bad. I had a
What?
thousand on
What?
Joanne.
Oh, damn. Oh,
That
I
that
mean, it it could have went either way, man. It could have went either way.
that's
It was a
and
close fight, and
I was checking the live lines like after line three, after round three, after round four, the live lines were like plus 80 for Zhang, and I was like, I wasn't even hedging because I was like, in my opinion, I guess I was scoring it wrong in my own mind, but to me, I was like Joanna was piecing her up. I didn't even hedge because I was like, Joanna has this in the bag. She's killing her. But I
yeah,
guess
I was
the
looking at
what
live
other
bets during that fight, and it was flip flopping. It had Whaley at negative 200, and then the next round it had Joanna at negative 200. It was flip flopping the whole way, and yeah, it really could have went either way. And for anybody that took Joanna by decision or picked her, it wasn't a bad bet. Like she was plus two
exactly
hundred by the time it closed out, and like that
exactly.
was straight like that wasn't the correct line. It should have been negative 110 apiece. It was super duper
Yeah.
close.
If they fought again, I would bet Joanna again. Not that big, but I would still bet her. At dog
Right?
odds all day, bro.
Yeah. With odds like that, like you have to throw something on there. But however, throwing that much on women fighting, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I don't learn my lesson seriously, but I love Joanna. I still love
Hey, you know
like
what?
she
I
shows
don't want
up.
to. Yeah. Like I don't learn my lesson either because like I have these set of rules that I always go by, and I've talked to you about this all the time.
Yeah.
There's always a second tier. Like, we have first tier bets and second tier bets. And the second tier bets where you keep your units, like you want to keep your units a little capped. Like you don't want, like yeah, go. You can feel as confident as you want. You go ahead and bet all, whatever you want. But you also always have to keep your units like very very modest on women fighting, heavyweights, and Asian fighters.
The
Yeah,
Asians
that's
get
those are the
tossed in.
rules. That's the fucking Bible, bro. It's gospel. Like this is fucking church. This is gospel. You know what
Dude,
I'm
and
saying?
Lee, Jing Lang Lee just showed that truth this weekend, man.
Exactly. It never fails. So like I'm not saying don't bet on Asian fighters, don't bet on women fights, don't bet on heavyweights. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you should always temper your bets.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
can't ever
can't
max, you
it,
can't
it
max out
cannot
those.
be yeah, those that in those three categories or there's more categories as a matter of fact, but I'm just highlighting those three in general. But like the philosophy is you don't want to go heavy on those fights more,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
and for obvious reasons. Like yeah, go ahead, go for it.
my other big bet was Dariush, which even though it cashed, it was like that was like a heart attack, man. Like he almost
Right.
got knocked out, and then he
There
turned
were
around
heart
and
attacks
knocked him out.
yesterday.
I was like, what just happened? Because
Yep, he's like,
I was also riding with Dariush sub. I loved his sub price. I was like betting riding,
oh,
not the price, but like I love the chances of him subbing him because Close has had his back taken so much. So I was like,
yeah.
he's gonna get on his back, which he did. Rode him the whole first round, almost had it locked in,
hmm
and then
I
he
bet you, I
somehow
bet you,
KOs
you
him in
stood
the
up for
second
that
round.
one,
Oh, yeah, that
huh?
was.
Like, come on, get that choke man, baby. Get the neck crank.
No, because I was big on his money line and then like a
Yeah,
little bit on the sub. So the fact that he almost finished him and then the second round he comes out and almost gets knocked out, like
yeah,
his body language, Dariush's body language was like, I'm about to get knocked out. Like he's like backing up against the fence, getting punched. I was like, this fight is like one or two punches from being over. And then all of a sudden he turns it on. He turns on that Middle Eastern power, whatever he's got. It was crazy.
yeah. In an interview, he said he was getting pissed that he was getting hit, so he had to fire back. That's pretty gang.
Which
That's
I
pretty
like that.
gangster.
Like I like that about fighters. Like when somebody says, "Oh, I lose," like they had like it's like the Mexican thing where it's like if I get punched, I want to punch back. Like
Yeah.
it's a good attribute because some
So
people when they get punched they turtle, right? That's not what you want.
yeah. So here's my issue with your bet right there. Like, what prices did you get submission at? I'm guessing like 230.
Yeah, something like that. To be
See, like,
honest, it wasn't that the price was so good. It was just more of like a chasing situation.
oh, okay. Because
Like I'm
like the
not
inside the
advocating.
distance line was at plus 190. There was only like a 40-point difference. Like I would have just
Oh,
taken the
yeah,
inside the
like the
distance.
knuckle distance. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
better.
that's what you call getting greedy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
actually put like
That's a good
in
call.
the very last minute, I actually dropped some money on his knockout line at plus 1,200.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh man, that's crazy. What a price.
yeah. Like I didn't expect him to knock him out, but I just saw the line. I was like, man, that's 10-1. Like, I mean, we've seen Dariush knock people out. He knocked out Vic. He knocked out he, I forget who else, but he knocked out a bunch of people. And like, why the heck not? You know, like he who else did he knock out? I forget. I mean, he's knocked people out. You know, he's got good striking.
Yeah, no, he
So
for sure can. Yeah,
and
but just
even yeah, before the fight too, and what's his face, Jakaro was like, I'm going for the knockout. I'm going. So
yeah, I remember saying
if
that.
two are gonna dance, like, hey, it takes two to dance. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
anything could happen.
There's some guys that like they always go for the sub. Like what Gerald Meerschaert did is like
Hmm.
once he has some damage, it's just like he hops on
Mm.
your back, subs you. Like so, there's some guys that like literally just I feel like they rarely get a KO, but like yeah, like you said, Darius just isn't that guy. Like he'll just that was a spectacular knockout too, of
Yeah, that
close.
was a fun one. That
He's
was
not
a
a guy
super
that
fun.
gets knocked out. Like he's tough, dude.
Yeah. And then I think Meerschaert's submission line peaked at like 360, and it set at 315 for a good while. So that
Yeah,
one right there, you looking back, sheesh, that is a nice line. And
yeah,
then Sean O'Malley at the okay, so I'm playing as I go, right? And I have Sean O'Malley by inside the distance. I had Sean O'Malley by knockout at plus like 160, 180, 190.
yeah,
Just small little bets here and there, just sprinkled up a little bit. And then
yeah.
like I think like 10, like maybe 5 minutes before the fight, right before the fight started during intermission, his knockout line actually jumped up to plus 250.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck? So I freaking dropped like $100 on his knockout line at plus 250 because I already had the inside the distance. And
Hmm.
I really kind of felt like he was going to finish him just because like Quinones was one of those guys that's like gonna make you chase him, right? And he's just gonna hit you and run, hit you and run. But I think O'Malley had the better range weapon, so he wasn't going to win a fight where he was going to be the guy that was playing Matador. So he had to play the bull, and I don't feel like he's a great bull, and so I felt like he was gonna run into something. But that line at plus 250, it jumped from 190 to 250. So like I don't know what to do with. I think people were taking uh, O'Malley by submission because I think during the off season he was in a bunch of those jiu-jitsu tournaments, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I guess that was the reason why. But that was silly. That was good for me,
To
but silly
me,
for yeah.
I was like surprised how one-sided that fight was. Like I thought Quinones would be way more game. Like he's not a trash fighter. Like he's decent. Like he's a decent B-level fighter. I was surprised that
I
he
would say
just
C
was like,
plus. I'll give him a
oh,
C plus.
okay,
I'll give him
okay.
a C. I'll give him a C. I'll give him a C.
I'm just saying he's not like a bum. He's not like some
He's
guy
not.
like
He's not
brought
a
it.
bum.
Like
But
he's a legit UFC fighter. He's not like
you
some.
have to leave him in the bracket, the C bracket. You know.
Yeah, but like like when they go to Australia and then like the card is filled with a bunch of names you've never heard of. They're like local
Yeah.
guys. It's not one of those guys. Like he's the legit roster UFC guys. So it's like he crumbled fast. I thought it would be way more competitive.
Yeah.
I thought honestly I thought like O'Malley would win the decision. Like I was like, oh, it's gonna be a competitive fight, but O'Malley will like edge out the striking, like something like
Hmm.
that. But he just it's awesome for that kid's career, like for the hype, because he already is
Yeah.
super hyped, and then to go in there and like have a first round knockout, I like it for his hype game for sure.
Yeah. And then another thing that happened last minute as well was Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero. Like I had a really strong feeling this fight was going to be like something weird. Like there was a feeling in the air that it was going to be a weird fight
Yeah, you could
because
tell some.
we've seen, yeah, exactly. And so I knew the fight was going to go to decision, and so Adesanya's decision line was plus 160, and then it jumped up to plus 180, and then it jumped up to plus 200. Like in
Oh
the
wow.
last couple of minutes, like before the fight had started, it just shot up to plus 200. I was like, damn, that's a good line. Like I'm taking
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah,
what the heck? You know, Yoel doesn't throw any volume. What the heck? You know, and he's gonna
yeah,
lose the range game unless he goes for the knockout. So like that's like a no brainer to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then
That fight was weird.
yeah, yeah. And so I wanted some money on the undercard, and what ended up happening was like the main card. You know, I had my single bets here and there, but I wanted to go for like a parlay, like towards the end of the on the pay per view, just to have myself a little jackpot parlay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I did a main card pay per view parlay. I took Adesanya by decision. I took Weili Zhang by decision. That was like, let me just kind of cover that one real quick. Like that one was plus 290, no 300, plus 300 for Weili Zhang by decision. And everybody thought like, okay, Weili's either going to finish or not.
I
Like
agree. I thought
she
that
was
too.
only going to finish this fight, but I was like, well, there's like why? Because Joanna's a tough son. She's a tough girl. Like why? I mean, if Shevchenko couldn't finish her, why? Like I'm not saying that Israeli thing can't finish her, but like at plus 300, like like Shevchenko couldn't finish her, so why can't it go to decision? Like people
Yeah,
like the
true.
odds suggested like that it couldn't go to decision. So
I guess in my mind, to me, I was just like, Joanna's so good. So
hmm
in my mind, I was thinking like if the fight played out like it did, like 5 rounds of kickboxing, I was just like, by the time rounds 4 and 5 come, Joanna's just
she'll
going to be
take
like
over.
kickboxing at range and just own her hard, which didn't happen. Like it did kind of happen. Like Joanna did
hmm
do really well in the last couple rounds, but it wasn't dominant. Like I was surprised, really surprised.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, again, that fight could have gone either way, man. If they're gonna rematch for sure, and like the odds are gonna be a little weird. Well, I'm guessing Weili will be the favorite again, but it'll probably be around like 180, somewhere around there. She has to be the favorite just because of the damage that Joanna had taken, and even then, that's still wide. Like the odds should be like pretty even. Maybe
But
140, maybe 150 for Weili.
I
I
don't
think
I
that's
don't
how it
know if
should be set.
I don't know if they're going to do a rematch right away because there's some interesting
Oh
dynamics.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got
yeah.
like Rose, and Valentina. Like
hmm
that's all four of those chicks are like very interesting matchups. Any way you slice
Yeah,
it, like they're all good fights. I want like what the fight that I want to see is Valentina versus Zhang. That would be a sick fight.
yeah. That would be a really good fight. I wonder if Valentina would have like a size advantage or not, because she's also a former 135er. So
Yeah,
yeah, that one should be really good. I am very intrigued off of that
I
one
would
as well.
rather
But
I'd rather
there's
see
there's
that
still there's still some growth
than
for
yeah.
Zhang. Yeah, because she has to fight Tatiana Suarez. That's what they had mentioned, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Suarez is in there too now.
Suarez is a beast on the ground. However, we saw in her last fight against Nina Ansaroff that in the third round she started to slow down, and she already doesn't have much striking, you know? And
Yeah,
so it seems like if she isn't dominating or like destroying or like finishing her opponents, like the third, fourth, and fifth, it seems like she kind of falls apart a little bit.
yeah. I don't really think to me, I don't feel like Tatiana's on the same level as the other girls we just mentioned.
Yeah, but
She's
her but
she's
her, her
good.
but she is a specialist though.
Yeah,
And a specialist, like you can't count her out just because of how good she is on the ground, because she could do
yeah,
some damage on the ground.
sure, yeah.
But if she can't take out her opponent by the time it's the third, fourth, and fifth, like she looks like she could be in trouble. But it's
Yeah,
just speculation. So, and
yeah.
anyways, just going back to what I was mentioning about my parlay, I had done a crazy $100 parlay to win like 4,700 bucks, and that consisted of Adesanya by decision plus 200. Weili Zhang by decision plus 300. I took Benil Dariush's money line. I took what's his name, Max Griffin, plus 3.5 points handicap. So what that meant was all he had to do was win one round, and that's what he did. He won the first round.
Yeah.
Um, or finish the fight or not get finished. That was negative 155, and my last fucking leg was the fucking leech.
Oh, that's so
The
frustrating.
fucking leech. And
And
so
that
it
was
popped
that
my
was a
shit,
close
bro.
fight too. Like Lee was game right till the last round. Like he could have knocked him out in the last.
Yeah. And Leach is a decent fighter. He's like, I want to say, a B minus fighter. He's
I agree.
good, but he'll never get to the top.
No,
He'll just never get to the top.
he's a
And
guy you want to
freaking,
bet
yeah.
against a dog. Like you want to bet him as a dog. Like when you see him
Yeah,
as a
as a
dog
favorite,
against
he
somebody, you're like
chops the bait.
people are sleeping on him, and then he's gonna like show up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always known that Magny was a good fighter, but I haven't kept track of Magny's like last couple of years. Like he was out for like what 2 years or something, and I didn't know where he was. I felt like maybe he was like injured or just like falling off a little bit. Maybe his damage meter had gone up, just because like he was getting beat up by what's his face, Hector Lombard and Santiago, Ponzinibbio or whatever. So I was
Yeah,
figuring like, okay, this guy's probably on his way out because of the damage meter. But sometimes, some fighters do need that time off, 2 years time off, recover, heal some bones, heal some bruises, yada yada, heal their brain a little bit and stuff, and they come back stronger. So, and we all know Magny's a workhorse, so I freaking totally underestimated him completely. And Magny's one of those guys I always bet, and yet here I am like
I know, me too. That's the thing.
I didn't give myself a chance to like even research what Magny's been doing, you know. So I didn't give my I just assumed it. So that was my mistake.
Yeah, in hindsight, Magni as a dog was like fucking. It was dumb not
Oh
to back that
man, that
shit. Like in
oh
hindsight,
man.
like that was brutal. We're not going to get a good price on him again for a while too, right? Like
Yeah, you know,
that's the thing.
Magny's
Like,
jab looked great.
oh yeah, did
His fucking jab looked on point. Like I haven't seen Magny jab like that in his career. Like he'll throw his long punches out, but this time his jabs were like a lot more crisp, a lot more like it was snappy. He moved his feet because you know a guy like that, like it's really tough for a long arm, really tall, like lanky guy to like jab somebody and bring it back to his face because you know it takes such a long time to travel to bring it back to your face to kind of block any incoming like return attacks, any counters.
yeah, yeah,
But for him, he actually jabbed and moved his feet, so he really added a lot of really good footwork in order for him to like keep guys at the end of his punches and then not be there for for the return punches because he really fixed his footwork and the guy already has great cardio. He also checked a lot of kicks as well. He checked kicks and he also got out of the way from a lot of leg kicks as well because he would always throw that jab out and leave his and be heavy on the lead foot. That's why Santiago was chopping him down. Those RDA chopped his foot down, you know. And this
yeah,
guy
yeah,
fixed all of his holes, and I'm a believer in Magny, and I think he has a lot of potential here because the
for
guy's
sure.
freakishly long in the division,
That's the thing.
right?
Like when people are out for a while, I think we kind of assume the worst. That we're like, oh, his head's not in the game. What was he
Yeah.
doing? We're seeing it all like negative speculation, and then like right after the first round, I was just like, no, dude, this guy's back. Like he was on point. I could tell just the way he was fighting, the way he was moving. Like, no, this guy's legit. Like he was training. His head is here. He's in the game. I knew like right even in the first round, I knew Lee was in trouble. I was like, this guy's coming to
Hmm.
fight. Like.
Yeah. Any other points of interest that you saw on the card that was interesting to you?
Oh, it was super frustrating seeing Emmers lose that fight. That like
Oh, okay.
somewhere in the middle of the fight, he realized he could shoot a takedown with a body lock. Like,
Hmm.
dude, he needed the body lock takedown in like the first minute of the fight.
Yeah.
Like, gee, like and that's the thing. If he would have gotten one takedown in the first round and just take some gas out of Chikadze, the whole fight would have looked different. Because Chikadze gassed so hard on all of round
Hmm.
three. If he could have gassed him out a little earlier, like make him grapple, make him grapple a bit in the first round, then he probably would have gassed out even sooner. Like that fight was super frustrating because it was so frustrating because I felt like Emmers was the right side and we were all on it, and then he lost the fight. It's like, and if that was a
I
five
should have
round
switched.
fight, he would have won it. He was piecing him up in round three. So that was the most frustrating thing. Like,
Yeah, I went ahead and switched my pick to Chikadze at the end.
oh,
Um,
did you?
yeah, I did. Yeah, the reason why is because I figured, okay, Chikadze, he's a kickboxer. He There's not enough time for him to really catch up to his wrestling. It's gonna take years for him to develop
Yeah,
wrestling to be able to stop Jamal's wrestling game. And I read that Jamal was Division One wrestler. He trains with some really good guys, Darren Caldwell and all those things. But on paper, that's what I read about. I didn't really give myself a chance to look up both of their backgrounds, and I didn't really know who Jamal Emmers was. I've only seen him maybe fight on that Contender Series. I didn't really give myself. Yeah, here's the part where like watching tape comes like doing your homework. You have to do your homework sometimes because like not all wrestlers come in one shape. They're all
yeah.
different. And Jamal, I watched a couple of his tape and I was like, this guy, he doesn't wrestle that much. Like he's really explosive on his double legs and he could really like time a shot and he's really good at moving around. Like he was very like what's the word I'm looking for? Like flowy. He moves and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he has to strike with you first, get you to react, and then go for that double leg
Hmm.
in space. And so because he fights that way, he's in space a lot. And the reason why he got knocked out by Julian Eroso is because he was in space. He was in the Eroso's danger zone, and
Yeah.
he had to operate that way because he's not a clinch. He's not a Greco-Roman or like he doesn't get his takedowns from the clinch. And I thought he's not much of a grinder style wrestler. He was more of an athletic like double leg guy. And I felt like if he stood in range with Giga was going to land some of his leg kicks and kind of land some volume and stuff. And And that's exactly what happened. Because once he got into the clinch, he didn't really he didn't dominate the way he
No,
should have,
no.
because that's not Jamal Emmer's style of wrestling. He doesn't get takedowns from the clinch. So after seeing that, I switched my pick over to Giga Chikadze, and I threw a little bit of money on Giga's knockout line just because, like, maybe Jamal's chin wasn't that good or something, but that didn't come through. But either way, though,
That
yeah,
was
I
that
mean,
was still a good line though. Like because
hmm
like Emmers was very wobbled in both round one and two. Like he was on
hmm
chicken legs. He and it was just by one punch. Like if Giga would have jumped on it, I don't know why he
hmm
didn't. Like he wobbled him hard and then he just kind of stayed there. Like he didn't jump on it for the finish. But yeah, that KO line was close to coming through.
definitely, yeah. So yeah, man, this card, I fucked up on the leech, and I fucked up on a couple other picks, like, just because I didn't pay my dues and do my homework on, like, because you know on paper I look at their Wikipedias and I look at Fight Finder sometimes, and I'll just go off of whatever, but you don't have enough time to go through it sometimes, like,
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
time out of your work week, or your like daily life week to really look up tape. But
yeah.
for me, it's important because I like to really study their technique from a coach's perspective, and I like to think, like, okay, if I was a coach, how would I go around this guy's style? Like, what is he good at? Is he good at throwing jabs? Is he lazy with the jab? Is he like not keeping his right hand up? Like, I like to look for little details like that, and then really try to figure out, like, okay, if I was Giga's coach, like, what would I do? Like, okay, this guy obviously, like, he gets his takedowns from the clinch. So, Giga came out and threw that knee really early to deter him from throwing, doing any double leg. So again, that's how I think of things. And like, sometimes I when I decide to pick my picks too early, I don't give myself enough time to look up tape. So that's
Um,
what I need to do for each card, whether before I even recommend anything or even play it myself.
yeah. I'm trying to watch tape on like all the fights that I'm
Yeah,
interested in. Like yeah, it's like you said, it's hard to watch tape on all of them, but like,
it's time
if there's
consuming.
some yeah, if there's some low level WMMA, then I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna bother with this. But if there's some interesting, if you feel like, or
And
if there's
that's
some
why I
lines
suck
that
at.
are way out, like that Vieira fight, like which he
Mhm.
was like minus 800. I didn't watch a lot of tape on that because there's not much value. It's already super extreme line. But like if there's,
Yeah,
try to just focus on a few fights and watch tape on those. One thing I did
yeah,
see that was interesting, I was watching tape on Dariush, and like he's pretty hyped up fighter and he's good, but like he holds his hands low and he gets rocked in almost every fight he's in. Like everybody rocks him. He takes clean
yeah.
shots on the chin
He
all
sure
the
does.
time.
He
Like
doesn't
it
move his
drives
head
me
at all.
crazy.
He doesn't move his head.
Yeah,
He's a
even
very
who's that really
defensively.
muscular wrestler that he fought? Chris Wade, what's his name? Um,
Who, Dariush?
yeah, yeah, that he fought like a few fights ago.
Doberman, or what is it? No, not
Drew,
Doberman. Drew
I can't remember
Dober.
his name. Drew Dober,
Drew
yeah, Drew
Dober.
Dober
Yeah,
like wobbled him hard.
yeah, he sure
Um,
did.
Drakkar wobbled him hard, and then there was like a couple other fights where he just gets hit right on the chin. Like
He's right
I
there
don't
to
know.
be punched.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't use more of a high guard, but it's scary when you're betting him. So
Yeah,
something to
he's one
watch
of
out
those
for.
heart attack fighters where, like, you
He
love to bet
is.
on him, but you expect him to get hit because he gets
Yes,
hit.
exactly, exactly. And that's exactly what happened. It's like I was riding on him big, and I just knew, okay, like I think he's gonna win, but I also think he's gonna get wobbled at some point in the fight, and
hmm
that's like a really scary way to like to
Yeah,
try to make bets.
I always bet on Dariush. However, like, I know that what I'm in for. Like, I'm always in for a heart attack because he
Yeah,
gets fucking hit. Like we said.
yeah. What I do like is he's not a decision fighter. Like he's always going in there to close the show. So like he might get finished, but he'll also
Mhm.
likely get a finish. So that's I just like that because it's from as a fan it's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, overall it's a pretty exciting card other than the main event, which I mean, I expected that to be boring. That's why I took so much money on the over. But um yeah, next week looks pretty decent as far as, like, from a betting perspective.
Yo, you there, bro? Hello? You there, bro? Hello?